where we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and the powerful, often hidden forces of human psychology. Today we're uncovering something truly profound, the art of making someone think about you non-stop. But let me make something clear from the start. This isn't about manipulation or cheap mind games. Instead, we're talking about techniques grounded in ancient wisdom and modern psychology, methods that can make you a person of intrigue, power, and influence. There's something magnetic about individuals who can capture the minds of others, even when they're not present. How do they do it? How do they make others obsess over them? The answer lies in understanding a combination of Stoic principles and subtle psychological tactics that, when used effectively, can leave an indelible mark. You see, the true power of Stoicism isn't just in mastering your emotions. It's about mastering the perceptions others have of you. By blending Stoic detachment with the insights of dark psychology, you can learn to project an aura that's impossible to forget. But before we begin, let's set the tone. Comment below. I hold the power, if you're ready to learn the secrets that most people will never understand. And if you're finding this intriguing already, hit that like button so others can discover the wisdom you're about to receive. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The power of absence. Be the empty space they can't fill. Let's start with one of the most powerful yet counterintuitive principles: absence. If you want to occupy someone's thoughts, you must first leave their immediate presence. It's a paradox of human nature. What we have constant access to, we take for granted. What is scarce, we value deeply. Your absence is the space in which their imagination will begin to fill the void with thoughts of you. Think of it like this. Have you ever been listening to music and suddenly it stops? You might not have noticed the background melody while it was playing, but the moment it's gone, you feel its absence. It's the same with people. When you pull away, even slightly, you create a space for them to wonder, why aren't they here? Or, what are they doing? This simple act makes you stand out from everyone else who is constantly vying for their attention. Now, here's the psychological framework behind this. It's called the principle of scarcity. We, as humans, assign greater value to things that are rare or less accessible. When you step back, whether it's physically, emotionally, or even digitally, you signal that you are not easy to obtain, and that, my friend, is irresistible. But here's where Stoicism comes into play. To execute this effectively, you must control your own desire to seek their attention. The Stoics believed in mastering our impulses. Seneca once wrote, "You must live for yourself." That means cultivating a presence so strong that your absence is felt deeply. It's not about being petty or manipulative. It's about showing that your energy is a privilege, not a given. So, how do you apply this? Let's break it down. First, reduce your availability. This doesn't mean ignoring them entirely, but make your responses less predictable. If they text you, take a little longer than usual to reply. If they invite you out, be gracious, but occasionally decline. Create moments where they notice your absence. Second, leave an impression before stepping away. Be present, memorable, and engaging when you're with them, so that when you're gone, the contrast is stark. People remember how you make them feel, and if your presence is warm, confident, and unique, your absence will hit even harder. And lastly, detach. Truly detach. Don't fake your disinterest or withdrawal. Actually live it. Fill your time with meaningful activities, pursue your goals, and build your world so richly that you aren't constantly thinking about them. When your absence is genuine, it resonates even deeper. Absence isn't about playing games. It's about recalibrating the dynamic so they see your value clearly. They can't miss you if you never leave. But when you do, trust me, they'll think about you non-stop. If this is striking a chord, let me know by commenting, "I create value through absence." And remember, hit that like button so we can share these insights with others who need them. Let's keep going. Number 2, intermittent reinforcement, the hook of unpredictability. Now that you understand the power of absence, let's take it a step further with the principle of intermittent reinforcement. This one is powerful, maybe even addictive. Here's why. Unpredictability keeps the mind engaged. It's why slot machines are so compelling. You never know when the next reward is coming, and that uncertainty creates a craving. The same principle applies to human relationships. When someone can't predict your attention, their mind starts working overtime, trying to anticipate your next move. They'll replay past interactions, searching for patterns that aren't there, keeping you front and center in their thoughts. So how do you apply this without coming off as flaky or manipulative? It's all about balance. You must give just enough attention to create connection, but not so much that they start taking it for granted. Let's break it down. First, vary the way you respond to them. If they text you, sometimes reply quickly with enthusiasm. Other times, delay your response. Keep it unpredictable, but always intentional. The goal is to keep them on their toes, wondering when and how they'll hear from you next. Second, occasionally surprise them with a thoughtful gesture. It doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes a small, unexpected compliment or a shared memory is enough to catch them off guard. But here's the catch. Don't let this become routine. If they start expecting surprises, the effect is lost. Keep your kindness rare, and it will feel priceless. Third, know when to pull back. After moments of connection, retreat slightly. Let them wonder what you're up to, but don't explain yourself. Mystery fuels curiosity, and curiosity keeps you in their mind. Just be careful to balance this with genuine moments of presence, so you don't come across as inconsistent. Psychologically, intermittent reinforcement triggers the brain's reward system in a unique way. It's the unpredictability of the reward that hooks us. And when you master this principle in your interactions, you'll find that people start seeking your attention more actively because they don't know when they'll get it next. But let me remind you of something critical. This isn't about manipulation. It's about creating intrigue while staying true to yourself. Stoicism teaches us to act with purpose, not with malice. So don't play games. Be intentional. Your unpredictability should feel natural, not forced. Here's your first challenge. Over the next week, practice being a little less predictable in your responses. Notice how they react. Do they reach out more? Do they seem more engaged? And if this is resonating, give this video a like so we can bring more of these insights to those who need them. Ready for the next trick? Let's dive in. Number 3. Mirror their deepest desires. Become their reflection. Next, let's delve into one of the most powerful techniques for creating an unbreakable connection. Mirroring their deepest desires. This trick is subtle, yet incredibly effective, because it plays on one of the strongest human instincts, the desire to be understood. Think about it. When you meet someone who just gets you, it feels magnetic. You feel seen, heard, and valued. This is what mirroring achieves. It makes you indispensable in their mind because they see themselves reflected in you. Let's break this down. Mirroring starts with observation. Pay attention to how they speak, their body language, and the words they use. Notice their passions, fears, and goals. When you're truly present and listening, you'll start to see patterns in their personality and what they value most. Now, here's the key. Subtly align yourself with those patterns. If they're passionate about something, show genuine curiosity about it. If they have a particular way of expressing themselves, mimic it subtly. Not in a way that feels forced or fake, but just enough that they feel a sense of harmony with you. People are naturally drawn to those who reflect their identity back to them. But this goes deeper than just parroting their words or interests. To truly mirror someone's desires, you must understand the emotional needs behind their actions. Are they striving for recognition, craving security, seeking freedom? When you show that you understand these underlying desires, often without them even having to articulate it, you create a bond that feels almost mystical. Here's a simple example. Imagine someone who frequently talks about their love for travel. On the surface, it might seem like they just enjoy new places. But beneath that, they might be craving adventure, a sense of freedom, or even an escape from routine. When you engage with them, reflect that value back. Talk about your own experiences or dreams of adventure. Speak their emotional language. Psychologically, this technique works because people are wired to feel comfortable with familiarity. When you mirror someone, you become a reflection of their idealized self, which makes them naturally drawn to you. They'll start to associate you with a deep sense of understanding and connection. But, as always, there's a balance here. Stoicism reminds us to act with integrity, and this is where that principle shines. Don't mirror someone just to manipulate them. Instead, use this technique to build authentic relationships. The goal isn't to become a chameleon with no identity of your own. It's to meet people where they are while staying grounded in your truth. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, consciously pick up on their tone, pace, and energy. Match it subtly and see how they respond. You might be surprised at how quickly they open up to you. If this insight is clicking for you, comment below, "I reflect deeply." And don't forget to like this video. It helps us share these powerful techniques with others seeking this knowledge. Now, are you ready to leave an unforgettable mark in their mind? Let's move on to the next trick. Number 4. Leave an unfinished narrative. Now let's talk about the power of an unfinished story, what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect. This principle is simple but profound. People are naturally wired to fixate on things that are left incomplete. Unfinished tasks, unresolved questions, or open-ended interactions linger in the mind far longer than those that are neatly tied up. Why? Because the brain craves closure. Think about a time when you were watching a suspenseful movie or reading a gripping book, and suddenly it ended on a cliffhanger. Did you stop thinking about it immediately? Of course not. Your mind kept revisiting the story, trying to fill in the blanks. The same principle applies to human interaction. When you leave an unfinished narrative, you become the cliffhanger they can't stop thinking about. So, how do you apply this in your life? It starts with creating moments of intrigue, leaving conversations, interactions, or even text exchanges just slightly open-ended. Let's break it down with a few examples. First, in conversations, don't overshare. Instead of giving them the full story about something, leave a piece out. For instance, if they ask about a recent trip, give them a highlight but leave a part unexplained. Say something like, "Oh, and something really unexpected happened there, but I'll have to tell you about that another time." Instantly, you've planted a seed of curiosity that keeps their mind coming back to you. Second, In text messages or social media, don't always give a complete response. If they ask, "What are you up to?" don't give a detailed itinerary. Instead, try something like, "Oh, just working on something exciting. I'll share more soon." This subtle vagueness creates a loop in their mind. They'll keep wondering, what's going on? What's next? You've created a mental bookmark in their thoughts. Third, use timing strategically. If you're in the middle of an engaging conversation, find a natural stopping point and say, "I've got to run, but let's pick this up later." It leaves them wanting more. The key is to exit at a peak moment of connection rather than when the energy has fizzled out. Now, here's the thing. This isn't about being frustrating or evasive. It's about sparking their imagination and keeping you on their mental radar. When you master the art of leaving things slightly unfinished, you let their own mind do the work of keeping you front and center. But let's ground this in Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." What does that mean here? It means your intent matters. Use this technique not as a manipulative tool, but as a way to create genuine intrigue. Intrigue is not deceit. It's the art of leaving space for curiosity. Here's your challenge. The next time you're in a conversation, practice holding back just a little. Leave an intriguing detail for later. Watch how they react. If you're finding these strategies useful, make sure you like this video. It helps us share these insights with more people who are ready to level up their social dynamics. Now, let's take things even further with the next trick. Number 5. The power of mystery. Give them more questions than answers. Let's dive into one of the most timeless and compelling techniques, the power of mystery. From ancient mythology to modern-day thrillers, mystery has always captivated the human mind. Why? Because people are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. Curiosity isn't just a trait, it's a driving force of the human psyche. And when you embody mystery, you become irresistible. Let's start with this question. What is it that makes a mystery so compelling? It's not just the unknown, it's the promise of a revelation. It's the tension between what's seen and what's hidden. When people sense that there's more to you than meets the eye, they can't help but lean in. They'll want to know more, to solve the puzzle of you. Here's the key. Mystery is not about being distant or withholding. It's about depth. It's about revealing just enough to spark curiosity, while leaving certain aspects of yourself unspoken. Let's break down exactly how to create this dynamic. First, embrace selective sharing. Don't feel the need to explain everything about yourself or your life in one conversation. When someone asks you about your goals or experiences, share a piece of the picture, not the whole canvas. For example, if they ask about your job, instead of saying, "I'm a project manager," you might say, "I work on some pretty interesting projects." It's never boring, that's for sure. Notice how this invites a follow-up question rather than closing the topic. Second, create a sense of contrast. People are intrigued by those who seem multidimensional. If you're known for being logical, occasionally let them see your creative side. If you're usually serious, surprise them with humor. These contrasts make you unpredictable and, therefore, fascinating. Third, resist the urge to fill silence. When people ask you a question, take a moment to pause before answering. That slight delay signals thoughtfulness and creates tension. It makes them hang on your words. Remember, a well-placed pause can say more than a rushed answer ever could. But here's where the Stoics give us an edge. They remind us that mystery starts within. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In other words, your inner calm and self-control are the roots of your mystery. When you remain composed in chaotic situations or don't react predictably, people will wonder, what's going on in their mind? That internal strength becomes external allure. Now, let's add one more layer: subtle unpredictability. Occasionally do something unexpected but authentic to you. Maybe it's sharing a surprising perspective or making an unconventional choice. These moments plant the seed that there's more to you than they initially thought. Finally, let's address what mystery is not. It's not being secretive for the sake of it or pretending to be someone you're not. Authentic mystery comes from depth. When you're genuinely pursuing your own growth, passions, and self-awareness, people will naturally sense there's more to discover. Here's a challenge. In your next interaction, hold back just a little. Resist the urge to overshare or over-explain. Instead, focus on being present, confident, and thoughtful. And if you're loving these insights, don't forget to like this video so we can reach more people who are ready to embrace the power of mystery. Now, let's keep the momentum going as we move to the next trick. Number 6. Emotionally anchor yourself to memorable moments. Now let's talk about how to create emotional anchors that make you unforgettable. People may forget your words or actions, but they will always remember how you made them feel. This is where emotional anchoring comes in. A technique so powerful, it can bind you to someone's thoughts for years. Here's the psychology behind it. Our minds are hardwired to attach strong emotions to specific people, places, and events. Think about a song that takes you back to a specific moment in your life, or a scent that reminds you of someone you cared about deeply. These emotional anchors are like bookmarks in the story of our lives. When you create one with someone, they'll associate you with those intense feelings, whether they're of joy, nostalgia, or even vulnerability. So how do you create these emotional anchors intentionally? Let's break it into 3 actionable steps. First, focus on shared experiences. Emotions are heightened during significant or novel experiences, whether it's something as simple as watching a breathtaking sunset together or as thrilling as trying something adventurous. When you share these moments with someone, they'll naturally associate those heightened emotions with you. The more unique and impactful the experience, the stronger the anchor. Second, tap into their emotions. Pay attention to what moves them. Is it laughter, curiosity, nostalgia? When you engage with their emotional core, you create a deeper connection. For example, if they love storytelling, share a personal anecdote that resonates emotionally. If they're passionate about music, introduce them to a song that becomes your song. These moments stick. Third, use triggers. This could be a specific phrase, a unique habit, or even a shared joke. For instance, you might have a catchphrase you always say, or a particular way you say goodbye. Over time, these small details become tied to their perception of you. Every time they hear or see something similar, they'll think of you. But here's the secret sauce. You must be intentional, but not obvious. Anchors should feel natural, not forced. They're the byproduct of authentic connection, not a calculated act. And here's where Stoic wisdom elevates this technique. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, embody the emotions you want to anchor. If you want to be remembered for joy, bring joy into their life. If you want to be a source of inspiration, embody that energy authentically. Here's a practical tip you can apply right now. The next time you're with someone, create a unique ritual. It could be something small, like a specific way you toast your drinks, or a phrase you say before parting ways. Over time, this repetition will form a lasting emotional connection. If you're feeling inspired, make sure to like this video. Every interaction helps us reach more people who are ready to step into their power. Now, let's move on to the next step in mastering their thoughts. Number 7. Master non-reaction. Be the calm in their storm. Now let's talk about a skill so rare that mastering it will immediately set you apart. Non-reaction. Imagine this. Someone comes to you, frustrated or excited, hoping to provoke a response, but instead of reacting impulsively, you remain calm, composed, and deliberate. That moment of stillness makes you magnetic. Why? Because calm is power. Let's unpack this. Human interactions are often driven by emotions: anger, excitement, fear, even joy. Most people get swept away by these waves, reacting without thought. But when you remain composed, you become the rock in their storm. People crave stability, especially in a world that feels chaotic. When you embody calm, they'll begin to associate you with strength, control, and a sense of peace. Non-reaction isn't just about staying calm during conflict. It's about controlling your emotional responses in any situation. When someone praises you, don't let it inflate your ego. When someone criticizes you, don't let it deflate your confidence. This balanced approach comes directly from Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Non-reaction is the outward expression of that inner power. So, how do you master non-reaction? Let's break it down. First, practice pausing before responding. Whether it's a compliment, an insult, or a question that catches you off guard, take a moment before you reply. This pause gives you control over the situation and shows that you're thoughtful rather than reactive. It also creates a subtle air of mystery. They'll wonder what you're thinking. Second, learn to observe rather than absorb. When someone directs strong emotions toward you, visualize their words or actions as a passing cloud. Observe them, but don't let them sink into your core. This mental separation creates emotional clarity, allowing you to respond with intention rather than reflex. Third, stay grounded in your values. Non-reaction doesn't mean you're indifferent. It means your responses are aligned with who you are. For example, if someone tries to provoke you with gossip or negativity, your lack of engagement sends a clear message about your standards. It's not passive, it's powerful. But here's where this becomes truly transformative. Non-reaction doesn't just make you appear strong, it is strength. When someone senses that they can't shake you, they'll respect you more, even if they don't say it outright. You'll start to occupy a space in their mind because your energy is unlike anyone else's. And here's a pro tip. Silence is often more powerful than words. When you don't respond to provocations or overly emotional situations, your silence speaks volumes. It says, "I am in control." That kind of composure is unforgettable. Now, let's tie this back to Stoicism. The Stoics believed that mastering your inner world is the key to navigating the outer world. When you're calm in the face of chaos, you embody that mastery. And people, they'll feel it, they'll think about it, and they'll keep coming back to you because you're the calm they didn't know they needed. Here's your challenge. In your next emotionally charged situation, whether it's positive or negative, practice pausing. Don't rush to respond. Instead, observe how the other person reacts to your stillness. If this idea resonates with you, hit that like button. Every interaction helps this channel grow, and reach those ready to embrace Stoic strength. Now, let's explore how to subtly plant ideas in their mind. Number 8. Subtly plant ideas through suggestion. Let's step into a more refined and almost invisible art, subtly planting ideas in someone's mind. This is where influence becomes so seamless that they don't even realize you're guiding their thoughts. It's a skill that requires patience, precision, and a deep understanding of human psychology. Here's the foundation. People are more likely to act on an idea if they feel it's their own. If you directly tell someone what to do or think, their defenses go up. But if you guide them to arrive at a conclusion themselves, they not only accept it, but take ownership of it. This is the essence of subtle suggestion. So, how do you do this? Let's break it into 3 steps. First, plant seeds through casual conversation. Instead of stating an idea outright, mention it in passing or as a question. For example, instead of saying, "You should start that business," you might say, "I can really see you thriving as an entrepreneur. You have such a sharp mind for it." Notice how this frames the idea positively, leaving them to connect the dots on their own. Second, use repetition subtly. If there's a particular idea or impression you want them to associate with you, weave it naturally into your interactions over time. For example, if you want them to see you as adventurous, share stories or observations that reinforce this image, but without forcing it. Over time, they'll begin to see you through the lens you've created. Third, anchor the idea to their existing beliefs or desires. People are more receptive to ideas that align with what they already value. If someone values freedom, you might frame an idea as something that enhances their independence. If they value connection, frame it as something that deepens relationships. The key is to meet them where they are. Now, here's a more advanced technique. Use suggestive questions. These are questions that gently nudge someone toward a particular line of thinking. For instance, instead of saying, "You should take a break," you might ask, "Have you ever thought about how much more productive you'd be after some rest?" This makes the idea feel like a natural extension of their own thought process. But let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's about influence with integrity. As Stoics, we act with intention, not deceit. Subtle suggestion should never be used to coerce or deceive. Instead, use it to encourage positive actions and deeper understanding. Here's a practical exercise. In your next conversation, identify an idea you want to plant. Then frame it as a question or an observation rather than a direct statement. Pay attention to how they respond and how their thoughts evolve over time. Comment below, "I plant ideas with purpose," and remember to like this video. It helps us share these transformative strategies with more people. Now that you're becoming a master of subtle influence, let's move to the next trick. Number 9. Leverage the fear of loss. Now we come to one of the most primal and powerful forces in human psychology, the fear of loss. People are naturally more motivated to avoid losing something they value than to gain something new. This principle, known as loss aversion, is deeply ingrained in the human psyche, and when you learn how to use it wisely, you can create an undeniable presence in someone's mind. Think about it. When was the last time you deeply appreciated something only after you lost it? Maybe it was a relationship, an opportunity, or even just a simple routine. Loss has a way of sharpening our awareness of value. If you want to occupy someone's thoughts, you need to gently remind them, without saying it outright, that your presence in their life isn't guaranteed. Let's break this down into actionable steps. First, Show your value through your actions. People fear losing what they perceive as rare or irreplaceable. By consistently demonstrating qualities that set you apart, whether it's your reliability, humor, insight, or compassion, you naturally position yourself as someone worth keeping. But here's the trick. Don't overexpose yourself. Even the most valuable things lose their shine when they're too easily available. Second, create moments of micro-absence. This ties back to our earlier discussion of the power of absence, but here we use it specifically to trigger reflection. For example, if you've been in regular communication, take a small step back, skip a text, delay a reply, or let a conversation end earlier than usual. These moments create a subtle void, prompting them to reflect on how much they value your presence. Third, be willing to walk away. This is the ultimate leverage. When people sense that you are not dependent on their attention or validation, they'll instinctively work harder to keep you in their life. This doesn't mean you play games or threaten to leave. It means you genuinely cultivate a sense of independence. When you're confident in your worth, they'll sense it and fear losing what you bring. Let's ground this in Stoicism. Epictetus taught, "He who is not a slave to his desires is free." When you let go of your need to be constantly validated or wanted, you gain a powerful kind of freedom. Paradoxically, this freedom makes you more desirable. People want what they can't fully possess, and when you embody that self-contained energy, you become unforgettable. But let's be careful here. This isn't about creating fear or insecurity in others. Instead, it's about helping them recognize the value of the connection. When you're intentional about your presence and absence, you encourage others to cherish the moments they have with you. Here's your challenge. Over the next week, observe your interactions and identify one area where you can step back just a little. Create space for them to realize your value. And if this resonates with you, don't forget to like this video. It helps us share these insights with more people who are ready to transform their relationships and their lives. Now, let's move to the final trick, where we pull everything together. Number 10. Live rent-free. Make yourself an icon in their mind. Here we are, the final and most powerful technique, making yourself an icon in their mind. This is about creating a lasting impression so distinct, so unique, that thoughts of you become automatic. When you master this, you'll occupy their mind effortlessly, living rent-free, as they say. So, how do you achieve this? It's not just about being memorable. It's about embedding yourself into their world through subtle but powerful triggers. Let's break this down into 3 actionable steps. First, create a signature. This could be a specific phrase you use, a unique scent you wear, or even a habitual action that becomes synonymous with you. For example, maybe you always say a particular phrase when leaving a conversation, like, "See you in the moment." Or maybe there's a distinct scent you wear every time you meet them, something subtle but consistent. Over time, these small details act as anchors in their memory. When they hear that phrase or smell that scent elsewhere, it immediately brings you to mind. Second, master emotional resonance. People are more likely to remember someone who made them feel something significant. This doesn't mean you have to create dramatic moments. It's about finding ways to be emotionally impactful. Maybe you shared a piece of wisdom that shifted their perspective, or were there for them during a vulnerable moment. When you evoke strong, positive emotions, you become a touchstone in their mental landscape. Third, leave behind visual and mental cues. Think of something distinctive about you that's hard to replicate. This could be your style, your way of speaking, or even the way you engage with others. For example, If you're always the person who sends thoughtful, handwritten notes, that act becomes part of your identity in their mind. It's not about being flashy, it's about being consistent and authentic. Now, here's the psychological secret. People associate emotions with symbols. When you become a living symbol, whether of kindness, mystery, confidence, or any trait you embody, you take up permanent residence in their thoughts. The next time they encounter something that reminds them of you, they'll feel that emotional connection all over again. But let's bring this back to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to live with intention, saying, "What we do now echoes in eternity." When you craft your presence with purpose, you're not just living for today, you're creating a legacy in the minds of others. This isn't about manipulation. It's about showing up in a way that leaves a meaningful, lasting impact. So how do you bring this all together? Here's a practical example. Think about a relationship or interaction that matters to you. Identify one small but significant way you can leave your signature, whether it's a phrase, an action, or a gesture. Then practice showing up consistently with that in mind. Over time, this consistency will make you unforgettable. Here's your challenge. In the next week, focus on crafting your signature. And if you've been inspired by this video, hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who are ready to step into their power. You've made it to the end, and now you hold the keys to something incredibly powerful. These 10 techniques, each grounded in wisdom and psychology, aren't just about making someone think about you non-stop. They're about understanding how influence and connection work on a deeper level. They're tools you can use to enrich your relationships, strengthen your presence, and create the kind of impact that lasts. But remember this, with great power comes great responsibility. As Stoics, we are called to act with integrity, purpose, and self-mastery. Use these techniques not to manipulate, but to inspire. Be the calm in the storm. Be the one who lifts others up while staying rooted in your truth. Now, here's a parting challenge for you. Take one of these techniques, just one, and commit to practicing it this week. Whether it's mastering your non-reaction, creating an emotional anchor, or crafting your unique signature, start small and watch how it transforms the way others perceive you. And before you go, comment below, "I step into my power," as a declaration of the strength and wisdom you're ready to embrace. Let's light up the comments section with empowerment. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who needs these insights. And if you're new here, subscribe to Stoic Blessing